What's up, guys? Welcome to part two of week four college and NFL football breakdowns. We just finished talking about Syracuse, moving right along to Michigan at Wisconsin. This is probably the biggest game of the weekend. That's got two ranked teams um, together with the lowest point spread. The Notre Dame Georgia spread at 14 is ridiculous. Um, how can how can I mean, they they put out 14, hasn't even moved. They can't get anybody to take 14 points until like today. I think it moved a little bit. But anyway, Michigan, Wisconsin. All right, I like Michigan here. I've already fired on it plus 3.5. I think Michigan wins by three. I think they should be the favorite. I think again, this is public perception. Michigan has looked shitty, okay, but they're banged up and they played Army, which is not an easy out. They held Army to 200 yards rushing. That's pretty good because all Army does is run the ball. Okay, their defense is solid. They should be able to go into Wisconsin and say, "We're going to stop Taylor and let the quarterback Cone beat us." If they stick to that plan, and even if they play old school Michigan football, if they stop Taylor and try and make Cone beat them, Cone will not beat them. Michigan gets out of there with a win. Now, if Michigan decides to open up the offense a little more, and take the reins off Patterson, let him fire to throw the ball up and down the field, then I think Michigan wins by touchdown or more. Okay, we don't know anything about Wisconsin, uh, and this is probably the worst time to get a bye for Wisconsin. They're rolling, but they've played South Florida, who's terrible, and they played Central Michigan, who might be one of the worst teams in the country. So what do we know about Wisconsin? Nothing. We know they have a good running back. Okay. So again, if Michigan can play run defense, which they've showed that they can, and let the quarterback and make the quarterback beat them, they should win this game. Okay. Um, that's all I have to say about that. I have my notes here, but I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Okay, moving on. Washington at BYU. This is another one that's a head scratcher. And I think this is again, people are still looking at the Washington loss against Cal, and people are seeing BYU beating USC. All right, I just don't see how BYU is going to get up for this game. Okay, they've had some incredible wins. That program this year has already exceeded expectations and overachieved. They beat Tennessee. They just got off beating USC. Now they got to play Washington. I think this is just a bad spot for them. This is a bad scheduling. It's unfortunate for a team like this, but this is a letdown spot. I don't see how they can keep it up for four quarters. They've had an incredible win beating USC. Now they got to do it all over again against a team that's better than USC. Okay, Washington would kill USC. Um, Washington cannot afford to lose again, and they can't really afford to look bad in a win. They got to come out like they did last week with Hawaii and just annihilate people, okay, to get back in the conversation because they lost so early against Cal, which is probably to their advantage that they lost so early. When you lose in September, you can make that up instead of losing in November. But anyway, um, Washington's going to come out focused and ready to roll, and I don't see how BYU is going to be able to keep up with them for four quarters. You know, Washington can throw the ball up and down the field. They're big dudes. They're going to be able to overwhelm BYU come end of the game, fourth quarter. Um, the market is agreeing with me. I got it at 5.5. Saw it right away. Grabbed it. Boom. It is at 6.5 at Pick Monitor. I went ahead and took the money line on that at Pick Monitor, and the current line now is -7. Okay, this tells you what everybody thinks is going to happen. Okay, not what's going to happen, but the market is agreeing with this here. 5.5. That number is long gone. Closing line value -7, and who knows? It may close at 7.5. You never know. Okay, next Tennessee at Florida. Now, you guys don't know already. I'm a big Gator fan, and I know the Florida Gators better than probably any team in the country. This spread is way, way too high. Okay, now I'm gonna made to look like an idiot, and Florida's gonna beat them by 30. I get it, and that's fine. But on paper, there is no way Tennessee should be a 14 and a half point dog. Okay, I understand they haven't played anybody, and I understand Florida's a top 10 team with a comeback win in Kentucky, but they lost their quarterback, and people say, well, they're better off without Franks. I don't know about that. But this is a letdown spot for Florida, especially since it's early in the day at 11 a.m. Okay, everything's pointing Tennessee's way. They can match up with Florida. I know it doesn't look like they can, but they can. They will be able to. Florida's still banged up. They got a new quarterback. They played straight on emotion last week against Kentucky, and if it wasn't for that crazy run at the end, it was a close game. They came back from 19 points down. Okay, Kentucky had them dead to right, and they gave it up. Okay, is Kentucky better than Tennessee? Yeah. Are they 14 and a half points better than Tennessee? I don't know. So this is too high. Went ahead and fired on this. 14 and a half is crazy. I have, Tennessee plus 3, plus, anywhere between 3 and 7. Um, they're not going to be able to match the emotion they had at Kentucky. They're going to come out a little flat, and they're going to get down. They're probably going to get down and have to come back and win a close one to save their season. But this Tisk guy or Tusk, whatever his name is, he's not. I don't know if he's ready for prime time. Yeah, he managed the game pretty well in Kentucky, but that was a lot of defense and a lot of emotion. How are they going to do in 4 quarters in a day game? I don't know. 14 and a half. Boom. All right, next Auburn at Texas A&M. I like the total here at 50. It's as low as 47 and a half, 48. Look, we know Texas A&M is going to score, and they're going to put the pressure on Auburn to score with them. Auburn can do the same; they can score. So I think this is going to be a back and forth type of game. Both teams are going to get into the 20s easily, I think, and I think this over happens early in the fourth quarter. All right, guys, we have time for one more? Yes, Okie State, Texas. We'll do one more, and then we'll hit part 3 here. Um, I think this line is too high. Got it at 6 and fired on it. It's at 5.5 now. Um, this game has been close historically. You look back the last 10, 12, 15 years. It's been close. Um, Van Gundy knows what to do in this game. Okay, he knows how to play Texas. Last time Texas beat Oklahoma State at Texas, back in I tweeted on this back in 2008, I think, when Texas was ranked number 1. I think they beat them pretty good. Now Texas beat Oklahoma State since then, but not at Texas. Okay, Okie State can score. I understand the leaky defense. I get that. That's why the over's at 73 or the total's at 73. I wouldn't mess with that. Oklahoma State is not afraid of this team. They're not afraid of Texas. They're not going to be intimidated by Texas at all. Van Gundy's going to have his guys ready to go. They're going to score. They're going to give up points, but they're going to make points. They're going to get points, and they're going to want to turn this game into a shootout. That's where they're comfortable. They don't want a 10 to 13 type game. They want a 28, 35 type stuff. Both teams score. That's where they're comfortable. It's going to come down to a possession, I think. It's definitely going to get to the fourth quarter, in my opinion. I like the 6, Okie State, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat them. Oh, by the way, speaking of sprinkling, and wouldn't be surprised if they won, Michigan, definitely sprinkle on the money line on Michigan. There's no reason why they can't win that game. None. Plus 3.5, whatever. Sprinkle on the money line. Here, Okie State, I don't think I'd sprinkle. I'd just go ahead and take the 6, or maybe buy a half a point to get to 6 to get one of those key numbers. But I think Okie State covers here against Texas. All right, guys, we're approaching the 10-minute mark again. We'll come right back and talk about TCU.